friends, this is Hedda. Welcome back to my channel. It is time to set up my bullet journal spreads for the month of March, and I am so excited to share what I came up with you all because it's going to look very different from previous months. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you click that subscribe button now so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. This month I am playing with pearlescent watercolors again, and it's been literal years since I used this set in my journal, so I am really excited. I'm currently in Hawaii on the Big Island, and we are experiencing some pretty extreme weather at the moment. You might hear the rain in the background as I'm talking, I'm not sure. It has rained pretty much constantly since the beginning of February, but this week it really picked up and there's been power outages and floods and stuff all over. Luckily I'm in a pretty safe area, so I should be fine. We've only lost power once and it came back right away, so yeah. But let's talk about my setup for March. In this video, I'll be setting up my entire month of March, complete with weekly spreads and everything. Usually my bullet journal videos are more about the monthly spreads because I usually set up the weekly spreads throughout the month. But this time I decided to just do it all at once because my weekly spreads are going to be really simple, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit. This setup is really drawing heavy, so it did take me quite some time to record all of this, and I did have to change location a couple of times. I'm visiting some friends here in Hawaii and they have 2 little kids, so obviously my workflow is not as smooth as it usually is. I mean, I'm always kind of behind on stuff, but having 2 little kids around also makes it a little bit harder. I knew that this was going to be the case, so I am not mad about it, and I love their kids, so no problems there. But yeah, it does mean that I can't really sit down and film for an entire day like I usually do, so that's why you'll see the background change a little bit. For this entire setup, I'm actually only using fine liners and a little bit of pearlescent watercolors. My watercolors are from Fine Tech. I've had them for years. I'm pretty sure I bought them in like 2017, so they've been with me for a while. And for my fine liners, I used a pack of fine liners from Ohuhu. They sent me an extra pack of fine liners for Christmas, and it has like so many different sizes, so I thought I would bust it out for this setup because when only using fine liners and not really coloring things in, I think it really helps to use different thicknesses of the fine liners to kind of make certain things stand out a bit more. And this cover page is going to be completely covered with lines at the end, so it was important to me that I had like different thicknesses of fine liner to work with. So my theme for the month might be a little bit strange looking at the moment, but I chose jellyfish and space, kind of. Jellyfish in space, but also jellyfish in the ocean. And I was pretty much bullied into doing this theme by my patrons. Some of them have been asking for this theme for the longest time, and I thought, why not for March? Because I usually have a hard time coming up with a theme for March. A lot of people tend to go for like green, leafy themes for March, but that just doesn't feel right to me. So jellyfish it is, and I am in Hawaii and close to the ocean, and although I haven't seen any jellyfish here yet, I'm sure there are a lot. But yeah, I can pretty much thank my patrons for the idea of this theme and also the idea of jellyfish girls. Because in September I did mushroom girls, and so why not jellyfish girls? I mean, it's pretty much the same thing, except the hat is a jellyfish and not a mushroom. And I had so much fun with like frills and lots of like flowy dresses. You might not see the dresses in this setup, but I did make a printable journaling kit for my patrons as well as physical stickers for my patrons. And so if you join my Patreon during this month, you can get the physical stickers if you're on the Charles or Twin Charles tiers. I'll put a picture of the stickers that you're getting this month in the video so that you can see, get a little preview. The journaling kit also has more jellyfish girls and more jellyfish in general. And it's a lot more colorful than this setup because I didn't really want a black and white journaling kit. But this month my patrons are kind of getting 2 separate journaling kits because they are getting the purple and pink kind of colorful version of the theme, but they are also getting kind of digitized versions of my spreads. So the cover page, the calendar, everything like the panels and the weekly spreads that you'll see later, all of that they can print out and use in their own journal if they want to. I wanted to do it this way because I had a lot of fun drawing jellyfish. Like, I've been practicing drawing these jellyfish since like the beginning of January because I've never really drawn jellyfish before, so I wanted to kind of, you know, take my time and practice it and everything. So I think it turned out all right. I mean, I kind of just winged it and went for kind of my fantasy version of a jellyfish, because obviously real jellyfish don't look exactly like this, but I am really happy with the result, and I think that they look quite unique and they feel very me, I think. Throughout the setup, you'll see me going over the same lines again to create thicker lines, to differentiate all of the different lines, because I think especially with all the frills, all of the wavy lines, it's easy for things to kind of blend together, and I definitely didn't want that to happen. But yeah, let's talk about the setup of this cover page, because I am using a B5 notebook at the moment, so it is quite large. So for this month, I am doing my cover page and my calendar on the same spread. So I'm just doing the cover page on the left page and then the calendar on the right page. I feel like with an A5 notebook, it's perfectly fine for me to do a whole spread just for the cover page and then do the calendar on the next spread, because you don't have as much room. But with a B5, I mean, it's huge. I'm having a hard time getting my camera like high enough above the table to be able to like get the whole journal in the shot. And I'll be honest, it is a little bit intimidating, and sometimes I'm like, how on earth am I gonna fill this entire spread, because it's so big. But I also think that it is really good practice for me, and I have a lot of room to write, and I have a lot of pages. Like, this journal will last me for the entire year. I'm not even gonna fill it up, I think, which is amazing. That has never happened to me before. So definitely a fun experience. So the cover page I've kind of split into different sections. So we have the circle in the middle with the jellyfish girl, and then we have kind of two panels on the top where I've kind of done this wavy pattern kind of. I've seen this art style all over the internet, and I have never really done it myself, so I thought I'd give it a go. And I kind of just improvised the lines, and to make all of the different waves, I guess, stand out against each other, I made sure to do the outer line of each wave in a thicker fine liner, so that the lines are really thin, but like the outer edge is a little bit thicker. So that's how you can kind of see the different waves going. And I wanted it to look like waves because I wanted it to feel like ocean, you know? And then below the circle, we have 5 different panels. So 2 thin ones that has the same wave pattern, and then 3 panels that will have a black background and jellyfish drawings on them. And some stars, because I wanted to incorporate a little bit of space into this theme, so moons and stars and stuff. Jellyfish are very like ethereal creatures. I feel like they just like glide through the ocean as if they were gliding through space, you know? They're just weightless, just flowing in the water, and really beautiful creatures, even though they can be super terrifying. You know, they can be really poisonous, dangerous. It hurts. I have gotten burnt by a jellyfish once when I was a kid, and it was not a good time. The setup took me a really long time to sketch. It took me several hours to sketch, and I think I was working with like 6 or 7 hours of raw footage when I was making this video, which is why it is sped up so much, because there was no way I'd be able to fit it all in the video otherwise, because it would just be too long. And there's a lot of drawing going on, and one of the tricks, I guess, that I utilized when coloring in the black background, for example, was that I made sure that there's like a little bit of white in between the lines, if that makes sense. So like when I'm coloring in black around the jellyfish, I make sure that I don't do the black all the way to the lines of the jellyfish. I make sure that there's a tiny bit of white in between, because that way the jellyfish isn't like disappearing into the darkness of the black background. And I'm doing the same around the border, so that's why you see me go around the whole section first with the black and kind of around the jellyfish, and then I'm filling in the blanks afterwards. And I'm not using a fine liner for this, I'm using a brush pen actually. This brush pen also came in the fine liner set from Ohuhu. and it's been really good for coloring in the larger sections with black, because with a fine liner that would take forever, right? But with a brush you can cover a bit of a larger area. This is a soft brush, so it's not as easy to be precise with it as with a hard brush, but you do get better coverage, I think. So that's kind of what I did to make sure that nothing disappeared into the black, if that makes sense. And I'm using the same trick, I guess, on the right side here, which will have my calendar. I did a complete grid for all of the 5 months in March, even though the first 2 and last 2 days aren't really part of March. I just thought that it would look nicer because the left side is like very symmetrical, and I felt like keeping all of the rectangles in the calendar grid would feel more symmetrical as well, so that's why I did that. These are little design choices that you can make every month, how you do the calendar, and I think it's really fun to do something a little bit different each month, and this month it just felt right to do it this way. As you can see, my calendar is Monday to Sunday, but for the printables on my Patreon, I actually made a Sunday to Saturday version of the calendar as well. So if that's the way you like your calendars, then you can print out the Sunday one, and you can either glue it into your journal or you can just print it out and hang on your wall, for example. And what I'm really excited about is that you don't need a color printer for this version. And the parts that I'm coloring in with paint later, I left white in the printables so that you can do the gold or silver details yourself however you want them, or not at all if you'd rather have them white or a different color. So I think that there are lots of ways that you can be really creative with the printables this month, and I love to see how you guys use the printables. I try to repost most of it on my Instagram when people post it on their Instagrams, but of course I'm gonna miss some. If you're interested in seeing some of the creations of other patrons, then I do have a Discord server that is open just for patrons. We share a lot of stuff in there, and it's just really fun to see different ways that people utilize the printables, or like things that they make that were inspired by my monthly setups or inspired by each other. So the Discord server is a great place. I love it. The final details to the spread is pretty much just covering all the areas that need to be black, and then going in with the metallic watercolors. So the ones that I have are from Fine Tech. They're called pearlescent watercolors, and I think the ones that I have specifically are called the metallic set. It has 6 different colors. Like I said before, mine are pretty old, from like 2017, so they look a little bit different than the ones that they are selling right now, because mine have round pots of paint, while I think the ones that they make now are rectangular. But I'm pretty sure the color is exactly the same. So the ones that I'm using here are like the silver ones and the champagne colored ones. They're really pretty, and my top tip for when using these watercolors is to just like mix some water into the pan and let it sit for a little bit, and then make sure that it's like well mixed with the paint, so that the paint is like a little bit thick and not so washed out. In my experience, this makes the paint more opaque, and that's definitely what I wanted here, because I wanted it to be very like shiny and sparkly. So you can see that the color that I am using for all of the borders and all of the stars and the moons is the kind of champagne color, the second one from the right. And you can kind of tell that I've mostly used the middle 2 colors, the gold ones before, and then the bronze colors to the right are almost completely unused. But I'll probably find some use for those in the future. I tried, of course, to stay within the lines, but my lines are definitely not perfect. So I did go over the border with a black fine liner at the end as well, just to make sure that I had crisp edges. I'm using the silver one to make these dots to kind of represent the, I don't know what they're called, like the tentacles, I guess, for the jellyfish. All of the jellyfish that are on top of the black background will have these silver dots for the tentacles, because I kind of drew 2 different types of jellyfish. I drew the ones that has kind of frilly tentacles, and then I drew these like silver dotted tentacles, and I think that they both look really great. I definitely wanted to have lots of like metallic or like sparkly watercolors on top of the black to contrast the black, if that makes sense. I think it's a really beautiful look. It's definitely giving the setup that little extra that it needs, because I feel like it's hard to do just black and white and make it like super interesting, at least for me. Like some artists do it really well. For me, I feel like I needed this extra pop of color, even though it's just a little bit. I love how my cover page turned out. I'm really pleased with it. And now we can move on to the next spread, and also a new background. This next spread will pretty much have all of the planning for this month. On the left side, I'm gonna have my tasks for the month, and then on the right page, we're gonna do a little habit tracker and also a little content tracker. Not really a tracker, but like an overview of the YouTube videos I want to make during the month of March, or rather the YouTube videos I want to publish during the month of March. And for decoration, I'm doing the same type of design as on the cover page, only a little bit different. So I'm drawing a really big jellyfish that is just kind of floating on the entire left side of the left page. I really like how this one turned out. It has so many frills. It's like flowing, just like floating in the water. I think it looks really cool. If you're paying attention to the way I am drawing the frills, it's actually super simple. I'm just drawing a wavy vertical line and then drawing more vertical lines to connect the outer edges of each wave, if that makes sense. I'm not really good at explaining the way I draw things, but hopefully it's at least somewhat understandable when you like look at what I'm doing and listen to what I'm saying. I'm actually really pleased with how I designed this spread. I think it turned out really cool with kind of the different sections acting as a border along the top and the bottom, and also on the right side of the spread. I think that it worked out really well. I mean, you'll see the end result in a little bit, but for now I'm just drawing this jellyfish. I actually asked you guys on Instagram to ask me some questions because I knew that this video would be really long, and I thought it would be a good time to do a little Q&A if you guys had any questions for me. I thought I would answer a few of them now. Chair Bujo asks, in your videos you often show your plastic cards with washi tape. How do you store the rest of the rolls? Usually I keep my rolls of washi tape in a box or in a drawer, and I don't have all of my washi tapes on cards. I definitely want to transition to not using the cards, but for now while I'm traveling, it is really convenient to use the little plastic cards for washi tape. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, you will see those cards in a lot of my videos. So just go check out a different video and you'll see them. Maddie Enriquez asks, when did you start journaling? What got you into it? I will say that bullet journaling I started in 2017, but I did do like a creative planner before then, since like 2013 probably. And then I did actually make a bullet journal type of planner slash diary slash journal back when I was like in elementary or middle school. I've always like been really creative, or like liked being creative with planners and diaries and stuff like that. So yeah, for a long time, but a proper like bullet journal using that term and everything is probably 2017, like middle of 2017. And what got me into it was pretty much that I was doing online courses in university over the summer, and I was also traveling during that summer, so I wanted to like have a space where I could like keep my notes and a calendar to keep track of all of my assignments and projects and stuff like that. And from there it just kind of turned into what it is today. And I'm pretty sure I found YouTube videos from like Amanda Rach Lee and My Life in a Bullet. Those were pretty much the biggest bullet journal YouTubers back then, I'm pretty sure. I mean, Amanda Rach Lee is still huge. I don't think My Life in a Bullet is posting anymore, or if she is, I'm just not getting her videos in my feed for some reason. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Stephananius asks, do you get people staring or talking to you when you plan outside? Actually, yes. Surprisingly enough, it's mostly like older men. I know that sounds like really weird, but I would say like 50 men, like 50 plus, they might be the only ones who like have the guts to talk to me about it, or maybe they just have no filter. I don't know. But I've had a few older men talk to me in public and like ask me what I'm doing, or they'll say that, oh, that's a really cool setup because of like my phone stand, like my phone holder and everything, and they'll just chat to me for a little bit. I don't notice anyone giving me looks because I'm just looking down on my own stuff and kind of keep to myself. And so yeah, I might be getting looks. Probably. I mean, it's probably a bit strange to see someone with like a full filming setup out in the wild, you know? But yeah, while I'm here in Hawaii, I am just filming at home because there aren't really any cafes in the area that I'm in. And with all of this rain, I'd rather just keep all of my stationery indoors, you know? As you can see here, I've kind of written out the headers. I went for a kind of script serif font again this month, just like February, and I really like how it turned out. I felt like it was more fitting to this theme. I don't know what kind of style I would say this setup is. I'm not very good at these like art terms. I never went to art school or anything, so I'm yeah, not very good at that. I just do whatever I feel looks nice. And yeah, so I did the little wavy pattern again in 3 of the panels, and then 2 of the panels will have little jellyfish floating around with the black background. Even now, as I'm looking at the spread, I keep wondering if I should like color in the big jellyfish somehow, like do something, maybe some champagne gold details or something like that, or even black. I'm not sure. So let me know what you think in the comments when you look at the spread, like all of it together, which you will see in the flip through, if not before that. What do you think I should do with the jellyfish? I wonder if it looks okay the way it is, or if I should maybe go around it with some thicker lines or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like it needs a little bit more weight, maybe, since the spread is very like heavy on the right side, if that makes sense, and a bit lighter on the left side. So I feel like it's a little bit imbalanced maybe, but that's just me. Let me know what you think in the comments. Words from Cassie Wee Wee is asking, do you have a project you want to achieve? Yes, definitely. This year I want to create more different types of products for my shop. I really want to do washi tapes, maybe some enamel pins, stuff like that. I would love to make a notebook as well. It looks like I will be able to achieve some of those things this year. I'm not going to go into detail until I know more, but yeah, hopefully I'll be able to complete some of those projects this year, which is very exciting. So I'm working really hard on those things, like finding the right manufacturer and all of that. And, you know, hopefully you guys will like what I make. So stay tuned for anything like that. I do have a newsletter on my website, my shop website, ikigaipapir.com. I'll put a link in the description box as well. Also, my Instagram is a great place to keep up with news because I do post a lot of stories and stuff like that. And if there's anything that you guys would like to see in the shop this year, let me know in the comments because I definitely take suggestions. So let me know if there's anything that you would like to see. And now I'm just going over all of the borders with the champagne gold color. It's weird because it's like a mix between gold and silver kind of. It's very subtle and it's not very yellow, which is why I chose it, because I definitely didn't want to have like black and yellow be the color of the setup. So I really like this champagne color. It's really pretty. And that's it for the kind of planning spreads for this month. Now usually this is where I would end my monthly videos, but this time I'm doing weekly spreads as well. So what I did is I measured out a section on these pages because I wanted to do Dutch door weeklies. I knew that this drawing, like this theme with the jellyfish and all of the black and the gold, it took a while, and I knew that if I don't do all of it now at once, I'm gonna like get behind and put off making the weekly spreads just because it's such a project. So I decided to do all of the weeklies as like Dutch doors, and then I have 2 panels on the side on the first page and on the last page that will kind of act as the decoration for all of the weekly spreads. So I made the weekly spreads super simple for March. I hope I won't get bored with it. I tend to get a little bit bored if everything looks exactly the same every week, but hopefully I won't be bored this time. So I made little boxes for each of the days of the week. I didn't make the same type of boxes for all of the weeks, but the first 2 weeks and the second, like the third and the fourth weeks look the same. So I just made little boxes that I will color in with gold, or like go around with the champagne gold color. And then I wrote week 9 and week 10 on the top because those are the weeks of the year. And then in the panel, I'm just drawing a bunch of little jellyfish. I thought about doing a different design for the left panel and the right panel, but I ended up doing jellyfish on black background for both of them. So I'm just drawing a bunch of smaller ones, and I wanted it to make it look like they were just floating around together in a swarm of jellyfish. Is that what it's called? A swarm of jellyfish? A colony of jellyfish? I'm not sure what a group of jellyfish is called, so let me know in the comments if you know. One thing that I think has been really great with this B5 size notebook is that I feel like I have more opportunities to cut things out of my journal, if that makes sense, like do different Dutch stories. Like for February I did the waterfall tabs, which I've never done before because I always worried that I wouldn't have enough space in my journal, and with the B5 I don't have to worry about space because I have so much of it, and sometimes even too much. So that's why I also did the Dutch doors for the weekly spreads for March, because I figured I would have enough space anyway. Being here in Hawaii, I don't get as much stuff done as I do when I'm in Norway, which I have to say is not a bad thing, because I'm in freaking Hawaii and I live right next to a volcano that has actual lava in it that's just bubbling, and it's so cool. So no complaints. I really love being here. It's amazing. And the rainforest, I'm looking at it right now, just outside my window, there's a whole rainforest, and there are ferns and just so many cool trees, and everything is green. It's amazing. But yeah, I definitely don't get as much done as I would normally. So I definitely don't need as much space for each day as I normally would. And I have that big task list on the monthly spread anyway. So I feel like this will be enough space for daily tasks and events and all of that. While I work on the boxes for all of the days of March, let me answer a few more questions. Literary Sean asks, what's your favorite thing to draw these days? I'm not sure. I mean, since I've been drawing so many jellyfish since pretty much the beginning of January, I might say jellyfish just because they're really fun to draw, but they do take a long time, especially the ones that I've drawn digitally has taken quite some time because I'm working with like different opacities and so many layers just to make sure that everything makes sense with the color and everything. But yeah, definitely like that. I've also been practicing drawing more cherry blossoms because, you know, the cherry blossom season is coming up, and I'm sure lots of people will do cherry blossom themes for March already, and those are really fun. I've definitely improved my cherry blossoms from last year, so I'm excited to do some cherry blossom drawings, maybe do a little cherry blossom shop update at some point. So that's very exciting. Letters from Chrissy asks, what did you study in Japan? I did a 1-year language program in Japan. My first year in Japan was just language school. It was great. I would definitely recommend it. I did that after high school and it was wonderful because I didn't really know what I wanted to study, but I knew that I wanted to try living in Japan and I wanted to learn more Japanese. So I was really lucky with my school. It was a great school. I went to Kobe International University University in Kobe, and they had a language program for foreigners, and it was really great. I had really great teachers, so that was really fun. And then I moved to Tokyo and I studied international liberal arts at Waseda University. I did the first 2 years and then I transferred to a university in Utah. I feel like I've been over the story many times. I actually have a video all about my academic journey, so you can check that out. Letters from Chrissy also asked me, is it your dream job or is content/SB your dream job? What does SB stand for? Small business, probably. That's probably it. I actually never thought that I would run a small business. I remember like telling my dad when I was in high school that I would never go into business. I was not interested in it at all. I wanted to work with international relations, diplomacy, maybe work in an NGO. I mean, I'm still really interested in those things, but for now I'm really enjoying my small business. Just seeing how far I can take it is something that really hypes me up. I think seeing it grow makes me so happy. Like this year, January was like my best month ever, which is ironic because on the back end of things, it was the worst month ever because everything went wrong. But in terms of sales, it was the best month. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I'm really enjoying like social media, content creation, all of this stuff that I'm doing. Like, I feel like I get to do so many different things, and one of the downsides is that it never stops. Like, if I'm not really good at taking time off properly, but this time in Hawaii is kind of forcing me to take more time off in a sense. I think is really good for me to like slow things down a little bit, live on the island time a little bit. Things move slower here. So yeah, I'm definitely enjoying slowing things down a little bit, not taking things too seriously, just, you know, getting things done but not stressing too much about it, I think is a very important balance to have when you work for yourself and when making social media content, because the internet doesn't stop and there is this pressure to continuously make new stuff, and I definitely feel that too. But it's important to be kind to yourself. So that's something that I am practicing this year. The stickers you see me put on here are actually stickers from my own shop. These are some of the days of the week stickers that I have. I have a few different styles. This is the one that's called Flowing. I really like it. I felt that it was perfect for the setup, and with the boxes being the way that they are, I figured the only way for me to make a header that looked nice was to put a sticker over them, so that's what I did. I am actually a little bit upset that there's no jellyfish emoji, at least not on my iPhone, but if you are still watching this video all the way to the end, then please put either an ocean themed or a space themed emoji in your comment to let me know. We are nearing the end of the video, but I'm just finishing up this panel here on the right side with more jellyfish. Some details that I did on these jellyfish, or the little like thin lines on the head of the jellyfish. I don't know. Jellyfish don't even have brains, I think. So I don't know. The cap, maybe? Made little lines just to give the caps a little bit more detail. And then again with the black background, here you can see even better what I meant when I said I left a little bit of white around all of the jellyfish and along the edges of the border, just so that nothing would kind of disappear into the background. I think it makes more sense when you see it like this. It might look like my lines are really straight and really good, but they are really wobbly, and you know, I run on coffee, so at some point I get really jittery, and that's just how it is. But yeah, I think that it's good enough, and I didn't manage to like color the gold inside of the lines all the time. Sometimes it goes over the line, sometimes the line is wider, sometimes it's thinner, so it's not perfect, but that's okay, because it's just, you know, it's a drawing drawn by hand, so the lines can't be perfectly straight or anything because I'm not a machine, and I think that's fine. A lot of the time I get comments saying like, oh, how do you manage to make your lines so straight and whatever, but they're not You just think they are because you see me draw them really fast. And that's all the spreads I made for March in my bullet journal, so let's do a little flip through to see how it all came together. I am really pleased with this theme. I think it looks really cool. I love the little gold and silver details. And yeah, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun filling in these spreads during the month of March. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Every time I post a new video, it's like so exciting to see if people will like it or not. And I hope that you enjoyed this one. I hope that you enjoyed that it was a little bit different from previous months and that you enjoy this kind of new style. I make bullet journal videos every month as well as reading journal videos and pen pal videos. So if you're not already subscribed, make sure to click that subscribe button. As for reading journal videos, my January reading journal is the next one to come out, so stay tuned for that. I know it's a little bit delayed, but I have filmed it and everything, so it is coming, don't worry. Thank you again so much for watching. Your support means a lot, and if you want to support me in any other way, I have a Patreon and I also have a sticker shop, so you'll find links to both of those in the comments below. I would love for you to check them out. If you want to help my channel grow, make sure that you click that like button, maybe share the video with some friends that you think might enjoy some bullet journal content. And yeah, I think that's all for now. I will enjoy the rest of the storm and hopefully we'll have better weather soon and I can show you a little bit more of Hawaii. I hope that you're all having a lovely day and I'll see you next time. Bye!